Welcome everybody to another great episode of Real Life Matters. Today I have somebody that's coming up in the industry and in the acting industry, the filmmaking industry, and she's also writing. So, I always support people that are coming up in the industry, coming and doing stuff. And, she will get there, and she's going to be getting there along with some other people. But here, Real Life Matters, everybody matters to me. All right. So anyways, with no other further ado, I introduce to you Kalyna, the actor, the filmmaker, and the writer. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, thank you. Kalyna, can you tell everybody where you come from?
Yeah, I reside in Toronto.
Okay. For everybody out there, because we got 12 million people watching it, so...
Oh, wow. For real?
Yes. Yeah. Between Canada, the Caribbean, and eastern part of the U.S. right through, and UK. Awesome. So people. So can I ask you, what started you wanting to get into filmmaking?
So I started acting when I was 9 years old, and what kind of happened is growing up, we did TV shows and commercials in my house. So I'd be like on set by accident because they were just shooting and I'd watch it. And honestly, I wasn't very interested at the time. I was very into sports. I thought acting wasn't cool. And my mom wanted me to get into it. And I did not understand it at the time.
So it was in your house. So what happened? Is your father or your family into it? Because you said they caught you on screen in your house.
No, I wasn't. I was just it was my first experience kind of being on set.
Okay.
But it had nothing to do with us. It's just that our house would get rented out for shoots. It was on websites where it goes out for shoots. And through that, I met Suzanne Coy, who I know you know.
Yes.
And pretty much when I was in summer going into the 11th grade, Suzanne came to my house as a location scout. And because she does filmmaking as well. And she's like, right. I'm also an acting coach. And my mom was like, oh, my daughter's an actor. And pretty much. So when I was 9, sorry, I missed a big part of the story. When I was 9, my mom pretty much just took me to an agency and she didn't tell me I was going. And then I was there. And I'm for sure I've got a lot of energy. I'm energetic. I was definitely an energetic kid. So I showed up there and they're like, pretend you're in a cranberry commercial. And I love cranberry juice, right? So I was
wow.
Cranberries, yeah. So I got represented like that. And then that's kind of how I started acting. And then I went to an arts high school and got a new agent going into grade 9. And then I got into a new agency again in grade 11. And I've been in that one ever since. But pretty much Suzanne showed up at my house and said that she's an acting coach. And my mom was like, oh, my daughter's interested. And we really didn't sign up or anything yet. But Suzanne was already emailing me a lot.
Wow.
And I was working at a grocery store up north in Muskoka. So I wasn't in the city. But she was sending me things to read and material. And I'd really never, with the exception of school, because I did go to an art school for theater, I never took lessons before. I was just auditioning. And I wasn't booking a lot at all. So I was really this is so interesting. And she pretty much said, if you can get a day off work next week, come to the city and I'll get you on a set. And I was on a set. I was pretty much a BG, background with special treatment. And on the set, I want you to meet at least 5 filmmakers. I want you to get their contacts. And I did that. And that was kind of my first experience. And I came back at the end of the summer. I started training with her. And that's kind of how I got started.
Oh, wow. So obviously, you like it. So have you done any commercials or anything like that?
Yeah, I do a bit of everything. So I've done a few episodics. I've done commercials as well. I've done short films. I've done one feature film. I've done music videos. Yeah, just a little bit of everything.
So what kind of a big major film? What part did you play in that?
Yeah, so my biggest acting accomplishments would be, let me think. I think so. I did a film last year called White Elephant, and it was my first feature, and it was playing at TIFF, which was pretty cool. And my character, for lack of better words, was pretty bitchy. But I was kind of I wasn't I wasn't the lead, but I was alongside them.
Okay.
So yeah.
Well, you're still in the movie, so.
Yeah. Supporting lead. So that was really cool. It's actually in a film festival next week. It's been playing around Canada quite a bit. It's called White Elephant, and my character is Minnie.
So is it on? So is it's in the film festival? Is it on TV or is it in Netflix or which is it?
It's still in the festival run right now. So I think this is the 4th festival that it's been in. Yeah, it's pretty much about growing up in Scarborough in 1996 when there was a lot of integration, and prior to there was a lot of immigration then, and prior to that, the majority of the people in Scarborough were white, and then once there were other cultures in, there was this big divide that happened, and that's why my character was so bitchy. So that was kind of the premise of it. And it was an Indian girl who had a crush on this white guy, but really was crushing on white culture.
So was that was your part?
No, I was that guy's friend. I did an episodic recently. I'm not sure if it's out yet, but it's for a show called Believers.
Okay.
And it's pretty much one of those paranormal shows that they film in Toronto. And yeah, so I did an episode of that. So it's kind of like a reenactment of a real life paranormal situation. So I reenacted it. So I did that a little bit ago, and it's coming out soon. I also did a pilot called Lost But Found, which kind of turned into a short film. Like it didn't get picked up, so it was literally just a pilot, but it's still out there. And I do commercial acting as well. The biggest, like the most known one I did would be I was in the Giuseppe Pizza commercial.
What kind of pizza?
Giuseppe Pizza.
Oh, okay.
I was in their commercial.
Were you eating pizza or what were you doing?
I was a girl. Honestly, I don't know if this is something you're interested in, but if you can share screens on this, I can even show you footage. But yeah, I was pretty much a goth girl, like with my family, like, you know, like an angsty teen. And then I did music videos too. So I think the most well-known one would be the Dizzy music video called Joshua. And it's a Canadian band. They've won Junos. And I was the girl in that music video, which was pretty sick as well.
Oh, so you've done a fair amount then.
A decent amount. Like I started with short films. If you include short films, I think I've been in maybe 60, like a lot. Because I did them first because they're a lot easier to book. And then also I'm in film school. So there's just short films go on all the time. And
which film school did you go to?
I'm in film school right now. I graduate in a month. So I go to York University. I'm in my 4th year.
Wow.
And yeah, first week of April, I am out.
So is it difficult the course to get that?
So first year, I was for sure kind of hyper because I was primarily an actor and I was in film school and the program wasn't nearly as focused yet. So I was taking a lot of electives. So I kind of felt I'd watch those like actors on actors videos on YouTube about like famous actors being like, oh, I had to give up this and give up this. And I'd be like, I'm doing this wrong. I'm in school. I need to give up everything. Like, and I'd get so stressed about that. And then going into second year, I kind of told myself, I considered dropping out. And I thought, okay, if I drop out, what happens? And I'm like, I still want to learn about film. I think it's important for acting and I'm interested. So I started thinking about all these courses through other programs, not through schooling, that you can take to learn about film. And then I'm like, I am being ridiculous. A lot of these courses exist in my school. I may as well just plan the year the way that I want it to be, which is what I did. I took all my electives were writing based. So I was reading a lot of plays. I was reading a lot of classic novels that I never got to read before, which was great. And I was writing a lot too, and writing poetry through school. So that was great. And then on top of that, I was taking film courses directly in what I wanted. And then in second year, I got a lot more passionate about film production because the way our program works is in second year, you make an alternative film, a documentary film, and a fiction film. But you don't necessarily have to direct them. You just have to be a part of each crew. So what you do is our program, which has, now we have like 50 students, but in first year it was like 80 or
Yeah,
90.
because you get people that drop out.
Yeah, so at the beginning there, we had, I don't know how many people were in second year, but there were four classes of about 20. So I guess there were about 80 of us. And in each class, 5 people get chosen to direct their film, but you can also pitch to the class not as the director, but it's less likely to get chosen. So my friend Jadon and I, we pitched our first our doc together, and I pitched it as the director and he pitched it as my cinematographer, and we got it. And then we did the alternative film that he pitched it as the director and I pitched it as the editor, and I acted in it too, which was pretty cool.
Okay.
And then we both, so now for our fiction film, they choose 6 people in the entire program to direct rather than 5 people in each individual class.
Okay.
And we actually both got chosen to direct our films, our fiction films. So
wow,
pretty crazy. We got pretty lucky. Like we got chosen to direct every single project during the year. And I think that just got me really hype about filmmaking.
well, that's really busy. Well, that's
it was great, and I learned a ton. And then in third year, I focused on production management and editing. And in fourth year, I actually went into a directing stream. I'm doing documentary filmmaking. So I've made 2 documentaries this semester. I made quite a few small ones. I made like 3 small ones, but they're like, like I've made 2 real ones this semester, like bigger ones. And yeah, so now I've been focusing on production management, documentary filmmaking, documentary directing, as well as editing. And I took sound editing this year as well as film editing, but I wouldn't say I know a lot about it. I kind of just took it to learn. I'm not knowledgeable in that.
Well, you seem to know a lot of stuff here. But we're going to take a brief break, and we're going to come back more with Kalyna, everybody. So we'll be right back.
Looking for a TV show that brings you a raw, uncut, unbiased opinion? What about a show providing a platform to tell us about your business or talent? Tune in to Talk It Out, Monday through Friday, hosted by Jill of Come Clean Empire and his co-hosts, DBoss, Corey Whitmore, and DJ Despair, where we bring you not just a TV show, but a TV experience.
Wow! Go ahead. No, you go ahead. Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Damn. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Woo-hoo! All right, we're gonna make stuffed shells, and this is a winner of a recipe. Add 3 cups of marinara sauce. We do have a really good homemade marinara, and I will leave a link to that in the recipe notes.
Hanging out with your girl T. I'm Tanisha. I used to be in credit card debt, but now I'm finally free. You got it. Y'all know what it is. It's your home station. #1 for blacks and hip hop and R&B.
I was 18 years old when I got my first credit card. It only took me about 6 months to max it out.
In today's video, I'm sharing with you all my recipe for a curry bean curd stick with pigeon peas, black pepper, and add salt to taste. You can always adjust after. In goes some chopped scallions, celery, onions, tomatoes, minced garlic, hot peppers and pimento peppers.
Well, we're back here with Kalyna. Hi.
Hi.
She's telling about her extensive schooling and university skills in filmmaking, and it's been great. So, what type of movie would you like to be acting in?
I for sure. Okay, so my thing, which is kind of contrasting to a lot of actors, is I disagree with that, but this is just my thing. I just like to do like very honest things. So when for instance, like I like documentary filmmaking because it's straight up, you're just telling the truth.
Okay.
And the thing I don't like as much about acting is you're telling somebody else's story. So like through slam poetry as well, which I do too, is you're telling your story, but you're still being performative. So I for sure, ideally when I act, I like to do both. I like to play characters very different than me, but I think it would be very cool to play a character more similar to myself. Maybe something that I wrote the screenplay for. I think that would be pretty sick. I for sure think I'm pretty quirky, and I tend to get booked as a kind of a more serious character, which is cool because it's challenging for me, which I like. But I'd love to just play like a really goofy out there character. I think that would be so fun.
To do some like comedy, quirky, those films like that.
Yeah, or almost like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I'm not sure if you've seen that.
No.
I would do it like pretty much like Kate Winslet is got colorful hair. She's quirky. She's I love the aesthetic, and I love me when I act like that. So I would love play a role that accentuates that. That being said, I love to play different roles as well because it challenges me. And I for sure love very emotional roles because they're challenging.
Oh yeah? You're emotional?
Suzanne, when she used to be my acting coach, she'd kind of be like, I used to hate crying on camera. So she'd be like, Kalyna, like talk about this or talk about this. And I'd have so much trouble being emotional. Now I really like it. And I think it's because it's a skill that I had to work on so much.
Yeah, you got to think about something that hurts you or something. And then, that's how they tell you how to do it, so, and really put yourself in those. You see a lot of actors and actresses, they have to think about things that they start crying. Like a lot of the African movies, they be crying a lot. And I say, well, how do they be crying all the time like that? But somehow they do it.
Yeah, you have to immerse yourself in the character. And I feel like it's best for me when I focus more on that rather than on outer sources. Because for sure, when I was getting started, and this is a technique a lot of people always use, which is fine as well, but they take things from their life, which I still do. But I used to do that and then try to focus on that as I was acting and like being in a scene, being someone different. And my mind would just be like clashing with thoughts. So now I try to like focus on that mindset prior to starting so that I remember how that feels. But when I'm in the scene, I am that person. I'm not straight up thinking about my own experience because otherwise I won't feel as in tune with what I'm doing in the scene. But a lot of people would probably disagree with that, but that's what I do.
All right. So what's the most craziest thing that happened to you when you're on set?
Does it have to be acting or can it be film as well?
It can be film, anything.
Typically when I'm acting, I feel like a smaller pawn in a much larger thing. So I'm usually okay. But in film, mostly because I'm still doing low budget filmmaking, you get a lot of crazy people. So I had a lot of really weird experiences. I think this isn't really on set, but I think the worst experience for me was summer going into grade 12. I got a job as, I guess I was really just an assistant to a filmmaker, but they were doing a lot of different things. Like I was helping with casting, they were doing interviews for like finding hosts for a television show, and I was showing up to those. It was just like miscellaneous jobs in film, but I really didn't have like a specific job. Yes. But it was unprofessional, and at the time I was just excited to be working, and I kind of was willing to do anything for this guy, even though it was unreasonable. And he treated me very poorly and pretty much started refusing to pay me. And, and I just had to leave, and I didn't get that money back. And it was really just a week of pay. So it wasn't actually, I think it was 2 weeks of pay. So it was just
2 weeks, and you just left and he didn't pay.
Yeah, but the thing is, there was no legitimate contract. Like, he was just e-transferring me money. So like I didn't know how to handle it because it was no legitimate contract. I just never thought that would happen.
That he would do that to you.
Yeah, and I for sure have a different approach. Even I'm not sure if you've noticed this from how I talk on the phone or how I talk with Suzanne, but I for sure I'm very skeptical now. So I'm like, I want to know everything about the project. I want a contract done. I want all the details figured out, because I have been in many situations when people have promised me things and it has not.
And they never gave it to you.
And I just I see through it now because I've been with it for years now.
And that's the BS, put it that way.
That's the thing about doing low budget filmmaking, is there are going to be a lot of people who are just unprofessional, and that's okay. That's part of it. You build your way up. But that was just one of those examples. And I was so young at the time. So I kind of thought, at the time, I'd only had a few part-time jobs before. And because of acting, I always had to end up leaving those jobs because they would get in the way of auditions. And then I had in my head that I was a bad employee, but really I was just an actor trying to have a part-time job. And I hated that I obviously had to leave that job, but I was so self-blaming because I thought, oh, I left it because I can't handle it. I can't give him everything that he wants. And that's why he's acting like this, which was a horrible approach because it wasn't on me. And I was kind of too young to see that. And now I obviously know better. But that was kind of like the beginning of that change of mindset. And then I realized soon afterwards that I'm a very hard worker and this is ridiculous.
What else? Does anything happen to you while you're doing your films or stuff like that on set? Like something was supposed to be moving and you didn't get on and it was not moving, or?
Literally so many things have happened.
We want to know. That's what we're asking. We want to know. We're not perfect. Things happen. Even things happen to me every day.
When I was on set last year as a production manager, I was just having a lot of beef with the director. like minor beef, but like it was incredibly consuming because I was on the phone with him, I would say 5 or 6 times a day, typically for like 2-hour durations, 1-2 hour things, because it was a school set. So it was a student filmmaker, and I am friends with him. It wasn't like, it was that.
You didn't know him, yeah.
I know him very well. And I think he kind of figured since I'm his production manager and I'm kind of his like right-hand woman, that he can reach out to me in regards to anything to do with like stress or anything, which I think is true to an extent, but it was kind of detrimental to my own mental health because he was calling me with personal issues all the time and I thought not respecting my time very much. And then it was also my first time.
Were you want to say psychologist or something?
Yeah, I felt like a therapist.
Or a counselor.
And also it was my first the set was about 45 people, and it was my first larger set that I production managed. It might have been my first one, actually, in general. And I was just like, I didn't really know a lot at the time about the relationship with the production manager and the director. So I thought like, oh, like if same idea, like it's a work in progress, I learn as I go. But I kind of felt like I had to be there for him all the time. And I'd be like, even out with friends or whatever, and I'd end up talking to him on the phone for a really long time. I actually remember one time I was coming back from Armstrong Acting Studios, my studio in Toronto that I train at. And I was walking, it was like a rainy day. I think my class ended at 10:30 p.m. So now it's probably like 11:30. And he was like calling me, like talking about a lot of other people, getting angry with me as well on the phone, as well as giving me a lot of tasks. And I communicated multiple times that I prefer these tasks to be by email, because then I can read them on my own regard, and then I can on my own time, and then be like, oh, I need to do this, this, this. And I think that's something that I PM'd 3 more films this year, and I'm a lot more knowledgeable about it than I was last year. And it's something I really push, because when I'm just on the go like that, mostly when the conversation is going all over the place, I can't keep track. I'm a student. I do a lot of freelance work. I have a job. I'm also in acting on top of my job. Like I need my thoughts on paper, So I thought that was difficult, because I'd go home and I'd be like, I don't even know everything he wanted me to do. But if it was on a list, I would have been able to go through it a lot more readily. And that's just something I've picked up. And this year, my films that I PM'd ran so smoothly. A lot of it was just, I did not work with the same director, which was part of it. But also I made a list after that film of everything I thought I could have done differently. And mostly I wish I was more assertive, because I just didn't feel like I held my ground very well. And then I started to later on, but it almost felt too late. Like I kind of lost that authoritative position by then. And I was already getting affected by all the stress I was under. And I dropped 2 courses at the time because it felt so consuming.
Oh, well, that's not good.
Yeah, but I caught up during COVID. I was at the time I was 1 course ahead. I dropped 2 courses, so then I was 1 course behind. And then I took 4 courses in the summer this year. So I'm ahead now. I'm in 3.5 courses a semester, because one of them is equivalent to 1 course, but it's 2 semesters long. So I'm ahead now because I just took a ton of courses in the summer.
Well, that's good, Kalyna. Well, Kalyna, we're just going to take a brief break, and then you're going to talk to us and tell us what you're doing with RLM. Me.
Awesome.
So we'll be right back.
Perfect.
Work is good for the soul. It is. It is very good. So, Scott, this would have been the last couple of weeks would have been when the Democrats would have had their convention, and now that it will not be a convention and the Republicans are having a convention, should Americans make something from that, one having a convention, others not?
I think they should draw that the Democrats at least are more COVID sensitive and smarter in the sense.
We were introduced to Wes Hall, and I met with Wes. We spoke about the company, where we had gotten to. We were already in Sobeys. We were looking at expanding, and up to that point, we were self-funded. Wes was pretty interested in us being a Caribbean Black-owned company. So Wes came on board and really helped us expand the company.
Sons and daughters of St. Lucia, love the land that gave us birth, land of beaches, hills and valleys, fairest isle of all the earth. But do we take this Helen of the West for granted? Do we allow strangers to come evaluate our precious stone while we only admire her beauty in glossy magazines?
Rhythm.
Blessed love from Barbados, or as we so beautifully like to say here on the island, what going on, lovely people? I'm Bugina Kente, the spirit of the people. I'd like to welcome you to the Rhythm Caribbean Top 10 Countdown, bringing you some of the hottest artists, songs, and videos from across the entire Caribbean. So stay tuned.
Rhythm. Well, I'm back here with Kalyna, and she was just telling us a few things that she had with people, someone not paying her and someone thinking that she's a psychologist. So, and it's like, look, I got my own things to deal with. So I don't think that you're fitting in the program. But anyways, Kalyna is going to be doing some RLM acting tips, which you're going to be seeing in some of our footage here. So because a lot of actors need help, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. People in Toronto ask me all the time. I just feel like a lot of people don't know how to get started. And as much as I like the route that I took in acting, it was a long, slower process, because I feel through doing that, I actually learned a lot more because I was in different environments. But I definitely feel like I would have done things differently if I just knew more. Nobody had told me what to do. I just kind of went in it. And I think it's really helpful just to know where to get started because it's difficult to figure that out.
Well, you got the both of the two worlds. You're acting and you're filmmaking, and you write your stuff.
Mm-hmm. I focus mostly on slam poetry. I'm not too big of a screenwriter, but I go to prior to COVID, I'd go to slam poetry jams and perform, and I post it on YouTube and on Instagram and all that jazz. I do write screenplays as well and have written a bit of my own work. but I for sure like poetry the best.
Well, that's good. So, who would you like to work with if you had to do something, in the big guys in the entertainment? Because a lot of people see us here on Real Life Matters, and they might reach out to you and stuff. So, who would you like to work with?
Oh. I really don't know. I just know, I know a few people. The people that I look more into are just, like I look at Toronto casting directors, like, oh, I would love to book through this person. Or I'll look at Toronto directors a bit. I do look at them, but I don't necessarily have like one person I'd like to work with. And a lot of like shows, like I'd be like, oh wow, I'd love to be on that show with this actor in Toronto. But it's typically kind of like one step above the kind of work that I'm doing. There's a lot of famous people that I would be great to work with. I don't think I have one person.
You don't have a particular one as of yet.
Yeah. I think I just.
Can you sing or no?
I'm not much of a singer. I wish.
Some actors can sing, like they can sing really well.
Mm-hmm.
Some actors.
Actresses. I used to take singing lessons, but it's not really my thing.
It's not your lane. So you're staying in where your lane is.
Yeah, I'd love to get better at it, but that's just not a strength of mine right now.
Okay, so can you tell everybody, Kalyna, where if anybody wants to reach out to you for doing any film work, production, any type of if they want to reach out to you for an acting career, can you tell us where they can reach you on your social medias?
Yeah, for sure. My email, I guess I'll start with that. Yes. It's kalyna@gmail.com. So my first name is Kalyna Fisher, fish, FISHER @gmail.com. So KALYNA FISHER @gmail.com. Now my Instagram is super straightforward. I'm pretty active on it. It's just my first name, but there's a period between the A and the L. So it's KA.LYNA.
And people will follow you. Trust me.
Okay, sick. Yeah, and I'm kind of on everything. Facebook is just Kalyna Fisher.
Yes.
I guess those are the main things, right?
Well, you're such a bubbly person, and you wouldn't think that when you see him, but there's like, wow, it's a real big difference.
Sorry?
No, you're such a have a bubbly personality.
Yeah.
People wouldn't think that if they, to see you, just like they're like, oh, then all of a sudden, oh, here she is.
Yeah, that's why it's always better, like to talk in person and to get to know someone, because Instagram or social media is so challenging for that. Like you just see a serious picture of someone and you make assumption of who they are.
Yeah.
It's so much more than that.
So I guess you get that a lot, right? Some people don't expect who you are until you really belch yourself out there.
I do post videos on Instagram, so I feel like I have a pretty accurate depiction of myself. So I post my Sam poetry videos and stuff like that. But I for sure feel like, honestly, I have no idea how I'm perceived. No idea.
Over the years, the next few years, you will see how people will perceive you, and then you'll look back at this video, you'll be like, oh my god. I remember I didn't know, but now I know. But anyways, Kalyna, it was a pleasure having you on today and telling everybody about your exciting, your career is just heading off. And obviously you're heading in the right direction because you're already doing stuff. You're in the mix, you're acting on almost 68 films or, productions.
Yeah, I think I said around 60.
60?
I hope that's accurate. But I know I've done a lot of shorts. I feel like it's definitely an exaggeration, but through school.
Well, all that counts as part of your portfolio, right?
Yeah. So. I'd say I'm on set every other weekend, and there's been times when I've been on like 3 sets in a week, but that's unusual, but it's happened. So I think that adds up. Put in, about 6 years of doing it, and then. But in grade 11 and 12, I wasn't doing nearly as much. I probably did like 5 a year for those 2 years.
Okay. Well, is there anybody you want to say a shout out to before we cut off and go?
A shout out. That's Suzanne, since that's our mutual connection.
Okay.
I don't know, would she be watching this?
Well, she will be.
Okay.
She's not on a call or something, but she will.
Suzanne, then. Thank you
Okay.
for
All right. Well, everybody, thank you, Kalyna, again for coming on. I thank my viewers out there. Everybody keep watching. Like me, you can see all the information there on the screen. DBoss_1, DBoss Real Life Matters on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so that if you miss the episodes and stuff, it's there. The numbers are not reflecting what it is out there, but it's okay because they're watching it on TV. So anyways, I thank everybody for tuning in today. So bye for now.
Cool. Thanks so much. Have a great day.